Welcome back everybody to another Minecraft tutorial. I got a pretty cool little device to show you today. It's a brown mushroom farm. What this does is it will push all of your brown mushroom blocks into two separate harvestable cubes and make instant mining with an axe very easy. This is for the console edition, and I'm willing to bet this probably won't work on Java or Bedrock, but you're more than welcome to try it out. So the way that this works, I've actually got some pretty cool redstone going on here. It's going to prevent you from placing another mushroom after the first one grows, which is super useful. And also what's going to happen is this flying machine is going to skim away this top section of blocks and push them down into this cube. You can see the stem cube is already starting to form over here. And that little piston down there is just going to prevent you from placing another mushroom before you're ready to. And as it goes back into the station, it's going to unblock that little area and you're ready to place down another mushroom. Super cool. Okay, so the first thing I tried to figure out was how to get this mushroom to grow a certain size every time, which is pretty easy. Just put a glass block on top, and you can see if you put it down too low, it will never grow, which makes it super simple. So you break that block, you have it up there. So we've got 4 stem blocks and 1 top block, a space, and then the glass. And it will grow at this size every single time. It'll never grow any other size, which is super important. So the next part of this is to replace all of these blocks with leaves. And so these don't have to be worried about because the mushroom won't grow unless these are removed. But if we replace them with leaves, then the mushroom will still grow and they don't have to be removed, which will make everything really, really easy for us. Okay, we got our leaves in place. You can see we replaced 2 of these stem blocks, so you don't have to deal with those either. And we can move our glass block to anywhere above this canopy as long as we got a block space. It could be like over here or whatever we want it to be. It just needs to be in one of these blocks, and we put it off to the side so it doesn't get in the way of our flying machine. So all we gotta do is grow the mushroom now. And you can see we're gonna get this perfect package. It takes a while because some of those growth attempts don't actually work. So obviously it takes more bone meal, but it's not too bad. And you can see we got this perfect shape up here. And we got these 2 blocks down here that are ready to be harvested. All right, very simple redstone. Honestly, it looks a little crazy, but it's just because I never compacted it. I never redid it to be more efficient. This is just a proof of concept. I just wanted to get all of these things to work together, and they sure do work together. So basically we are just detecting the growth with the observer. What it's going to do, you can see we got a bunch of stuff going on over here, but basically we're just going to activate this monostable, which is going to push the blocks out of the way. It's also going to come over this direction and activate this deal, which is going to turn on our trapdoor, which is going to launch our flying machine, right? So as that launches, this circuit over here detects it, and it will put this block down into position, right? So the next time it comes by, it'll kick it up out of position and it'll send the signal. And when it sends that signal, this redstone block is going to be down here and it's going to pull it up out of the way, which is going to unblock our piston. So the piston actually gets blocked immediately, and we solve that problem. Let's see, how do we do it? From over here. So you see the redstone travels over to here and it goes over to the side, and it'll activate this. It'll put it down into this position, which will turn on the piston over here, so you can't place any more blocks. And then as it's coming back through the station, this thing will be in the right spot. It'll transfer the signal, and it'll pull it, back up out of the way, and allow you to place more mushroom blocks. So it's pretty simple. That's really the complicated part of this. The other thing is just like this little turn-off circuit. It's pretty easy. I've done this with an observer, so when you turn the clock on, the piston retracts, which means that if you were to fill up like a block over here, it's going to push that piston and grab it again, and it's going to turn our clock off. So that's basically all of the redstone. Pretty dang simple. And the rest of it is just some super simple circuits for the flying machines. All right, we're just testing this out in survival mode. You can see that as soon as we place that mushroom, it grows and gets pushed out of the way, and the piston extends, and we're not able to place another mushroom. Very important. And I think this is our last one. There you go, and the clock has turned off. So we're still able to place the mushroom, but it's not going to grow, obviously. So yeah, there you go. We got this giant block of mushroom blocks, giant cube of mushroom blocks. We could easily instant mine it away. The way that I was figuring out you can do this, the reason I built it into this shape is because you mine out these 2 bottom blocks right here, and then you can just go and look upwards, and you can mine all the rest of them out very easily. And there you go. There's your completed farm device. And did that mushroom grow? It did grow. Okay, so we're gonna have to make sure that when we are using this device, we do not leave that mushroom there, because obviously we don't want it to grow. All right, that was a pretty silly mistake, but what I did, it's a pretty easy fix, is when we left our machine, we left a mushroom in here, right? So as we went over to here and we cleared out these blocks, we updated this, which means that our thing grew one more time. So we just got to make sure not to leave a mushroom there. Once the machine stops, you just got to like break it or whatever before we leave, and that won't happen again. You can see it's going to work out fine. But that's just something to keep in mind, is this block will activate our little lever deal over here and turn on or off the clock. Okay, so this is how you start the tutorial. It's pretty easy. All you gotta do is get a podzol so you can place mushrooms in any light level. Obviously, you could use like mycelium or something else. You're just gonna make sure the light is appropriate. Then you can do some pistons over here. You want normal pistons. We want a dispenser at the bottom, observer on the top. You can see it's facing this direction. And all this is gonna do is basically just gonna have a clock at the bottom, two observers like this. It's gonna activate this piece of redstone, which is gonna activate that block and get our dispenser. And the way we do this is just a sticky piston and a block with an observer into it, and a lever on the top. And there you go. So every time you change the state of the lever, it's going to activate or deactivate your clock. And there you go. Okay, continuing on. Block here, block there. Normal piston. A couple more blocks. We want a gravity block on the top. Obviously, some repeaters along the sides. We'll do 1, 1, and 1. Change to the delay there. Piece of redstone. And a block. And what that is going to do is every time it grows one, it's going to kick those out. And it's also going to send a line down this way, so you can just get this ready, put some blocks like so with some redstone, and that will go and activate our flying machine. Okay, so make sure you get these leaf blocks in the right spot, because obviously it won't work if you do not. So you want 4 blocks of stem, as you can see, with 2 of those replaced with leaves above the pistons. And then this top block will be generated, and you can see we've built the shape of the mushroom. We also want a piece of glass, and I'm going to put that right there with a block of space. And that is just going to prevent it from growing any higher. Okay, and so because I didn't actually really try to compact this in any particular way, we might have some differences between that device and this one, but it really doesn't matter because the redstone is going to be functionally identical. So let's do a repeater with no delay off of this direction, and a sticky piston with a redstone block on the bottom. Now what we can do is we can build down like so, and so when this goes down in this position, we want it to activate another redstone wire. And what this is going to do is we want it to just activate that piston. So you can do a little deal like this, we can block it off, and we can just put redstone around the bend, and it's going to activate that bottom piston. So let's test this out now, because what we want to have happen is we want to be able to grow the mushroom, we want to have it activate this back wire, we also want to have it activate both of these pistons, and the bottom piston should stay extended, and we'll know we did this properly. So let's actually fill up our thing full of bone meal as well while we're at it. Grab a brown mushroom, and let's try this out. Alright, bone meal in the thing. Mushroom in place, and let's turn our clock on. There you see it grows, it extends, and the bottom one has been left in place. Amazing, that is exactly what we want, and our mushroom is in the proper position. Okay, so you could do this in a lot of different ways, and also more compact. If you really wanted to, you could probably put the pistons like right there, but I've just left a couple blocks of space. You can see we got 1, 2, and then we got our normal pistons with slime blocks on the back, and then our observers facing upwards, giving power down into the pistons. So then you just want to build out a few more blocks like this, get a sticky piston, put it right there, a sticky block on top, and this is where we're going to put our flying machine. Okay, also block off this with an immovable block, so as this is coming back into the station, this separates, very important. We're also going to want a slime block there. We can put our sticky pistons in place for our flying machine. Then we're going to want to block this flying machine from going anywhere when we're building it. Then you can put a slime block or another temporary block on top of the pistons. Your observers face upwards, transmit power to the slime block, and then into the pistons. And that's how you build the whole device. You can break these, and then I think you can break that one as well. And there you go, there's your little station and your flying machine. Okay, so you want to get some temporary blocks and an immovable block like obsidian. You want to count out from here. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, put a block on top, and then a movable block on top of there. And that is where your other station is going to be. This is going to prevent your flying machine from flying off into the distance. Alright, so off of this block, we're going to want to put an observer facing this direction, and another immovable block behind it with a piece of redstone dust. Put a repeater on the second delay, and then a trapdoor right there on top of the observer. And there you go. So every time that something comes into the station, it's going to open that, and it's going to make it go back the other direction. So now we're going to want a couple more repeater delays off this direction, which is going to give it a little bit of time, and then push our blocks down out of the way. We can do that with a block here, and then this block is actually going to be a piston, some redstone on top of it. And there you go. So as this comes into the station, it's going to push all of the blocks underneath here, and then they're going to get pushed down into position. So obviously, like I said, you could do this in a lot of different ways, but the way I did it is just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you do 3 wide. Put redstone on top of all of it. That's just going to push it down into a cube until it reaches the ground. So it's going to work out pretty well, but obviously, like I keep saying, you could definitely change the shape of this to be however you want it. But this is just how I activate all of the redstone, and so obviously you can make sure to change that if you want to. Alright, so let's hook up this redstone to our flying machine. You can see I put this block right here. You're also going to want to put another block there temporarily just to make sure this flying machine doesn't move or anything while you're doing this. Because you do want to put a trapdoor right on top of that observer and a repeater right there. Let's see, we want an obsidian block and we want a redstone, some slime blocks, and actually I think we're going to do it off to the side and then down like this, and then we'll put a sticky piston at the bottom right like so. We can connect it up to our redstone, and there you go. So every time that this redstone line activates, it's going to go bam, and it's going to put this block up once. We're going to want a piece of dust into the repeater, into the trapdoor. That is going to launch our flying machine. Okay, this next part will show you exactly what I mean by not very compact or efficient, but it definitely works. We're going to want to attach a block to that slime block, and we want to take an observer pulse out of it as it leaves the station and as it comes back into the station. And this is going to control that piston down there that prevents us from placing more mushrooms. So we want a block, another block over there, and we can make a monostable. So we want a repeater with no delay, a block on top, and a piece of redstone. So let's just basically staircase this downwards. So let's do something like this, and then once we get over here, we want to go back. So we're kind of doing like a spiral staircase like this. We can do redstone on top of all of that, break that block, and we can put a block down below it, coming out of it, goes all the way over to this piston. And so right here, we want to do repeater, repeater, no delay, and do a secondary monostable, but this time put the block up by one like it's already been activated, and then a piece of redstone to get our piston down there. You can see no delay here, and we got no delay on the back right there as well. Okay, I just broke a little redstone back here because I realized it was not necessary. So if you look back in the video, you can see there's a little circuit here that was incomplete. It was a vestigial redstone circuit from something else. So you can just ignore that. This is all you need in the back here. And then over here, you can see that this line of pistons is activated with the observer. So let's do that real quick. And we can basically finish off this whole device. It's almost done. Okay, so you can imagine that wall that we had just to make things a little easier for us would be right about there. So you can do this again, however you want to do it. But why don't we just go from here? So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just because that is going to be an easy shape to instant mine. And it's not going to be very complicated to like try and change our positioning of our axe and stuff. We can just run through it and break it all real fast. We want normal pistons. We can just do 2 like so, and we want to block on the top one with a piece of redstone on each one of those like this, and these blocks underneath are not necessary. Alright, well let's put all of these blocks here, basically not right there, but all of these blocks. And what will happen is when this block goes into place, we're going to want to observe that with an observer like so. We can put a block down here with a piece of redstone. This is going to go directly into our monostable circuit, which is very important, right there. A block out of that with a repeater, and we can do that with no delay. And there you go. So as soon as this grows, it's going to push everything out of the way. Amazing. And if you put a piece of delay on there, it is going to go into the crazy infinite loop. So make sure that is on nothing. Alright, well like I said, this is going to be a little bit different, and we're just going to push limit. So you can see that if we have a space down there, we're going to be able to push all of those blocks down. And so once they get to this level, which is just where we're stopping, this obviously could be a lot different, but we're just going to take 2 repeaters right like this, and a piece of redstone or redstone block or any other kind of power source. So obviously when this piston pushes the block down, it's going to activate this line over here, and this line is going to go over to our block right there that powers our piston. Okay, so from this little circuit with your block, when it's placed, the redstone turns on. We're going to want to put that redstone dust all the way up some stairs. However you want to get it over to this piston over here, it will work however you want to do that. Then we want a observer observing that change in the dust, which is going to turn on or turn off our clock, depending on the state of this redstone down here. So you can see when this changes states, so does the clock. So if it's on and the block goes into position, the clock is going to turn off. Amazing. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is as far out as you can go. And right over here, we're going to want to do the exact same thing. So let's get a redstone block and a repeater and a repeater. Just the exact same thing that we just had. And we can just do this down this time a little bit to get it out from away from our floor and everything, make it look a little nicer. And it goes right back to here. And we want to actually have it come into this direction. So an observer, not like that, but like this. We can change that once more by placing some redstone dust. And there you go. So every time that dust activates, it is going to change the state once more and do the exact same thing that we have over there happening over here as well. So if we fill this up, it is going to turn the clock off. Amazing. We can just fill this floor up with anything. This is going to be where you stand to mine all of the blocks. Okay, I like to put glass here so you can see the state of your clock or something if you don't have sound turned on or whatever. Just a nice little visual indicator there. Do not do that right now. I was not trying to do that. But let's just make a little floor so we got somewhere to stand while we are activating our device. And then over here, we can maybe do a staircase down to there at some point or whatever. But for now, this is all we're going to build today. So let's test this out. Let's go into survival mode. Let's place down, an entire stack of mushrooms or whatever until it grows and fills up one of these chambers and automatically turns off, I hope. Let's see if we got everything working properly. Words. Alright guys, well as you can see it works out great. I mined away a little bit of it, and obviously because I did this at a different size than the other one, we can't just do the bottom layers and then just look up and get the rest. So I had to do a little staircasing to get up to the top. It doesn't really matter too much. You're just going to want to keep that in mind if you're going to do this in survival mode. Make sure to do a shape that's going to be easy to harvest or have some way to get up there and mine it down from the bottom or something. But the reason why I'm using mushrooms in the world, in the single player world, is because they work great as a fuel source. There you go. So that is what I do with all of these blocks. And the only reason I'm using mushrooms as fuel source is just because they're easy to get, because you can instant mine them instead of having to chop wood or harvest coal. Mushroom blocks, you can chop it all down with an axe super quick. And I think it works great for a fuel source for late game, because you can make a cool AFK device like this to get all of the blocks with. Alright guys, well, mostly AFKable, automatic brown mushroom device. Let me know what you think about this. I'm pretty happy with it. If you want to compact this, be sure to send me some videos or something if you do. At HuxPlays on Twitter, I would love to see any tweaks that you've made to this. I think there's a lot of potential for it. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with this, so let me know if you are too. Hit some buttons, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.